This video idea all started while I was scrolling through HBO Max trying to find something to watch. Because I love free but exclusive things, I made sure I watched all of Warner Brothers' early releases like this, and hell no, I'm not watching that. I'm not sure if it's actually good or not, but I'm a millennial, so my mind won't allow me to watch it based on loyalty. Because I pretty much watched most of their movies on HBO Max, I, of course, watched this movie called Reminiscence. I went into this movie blindly. I had no idea what it was about. All I knew was that it starred Hugh Jackman and it was some sort of mystery. As I watched the first 10 minutes of the movie, I noticed the jazzy music and the moody protagonist, and I sort of got this familiar feeling. At the 15-minute mark, when the lights changed and Rebecca Ferguson walked in, I knew exactly what this movie was. It was a neo-noir film. The style, the lighting, the detective, it all made sense. This immediately got me thinking about including a black neo-noir film on my channel. Even though I've never seen one yet, I knew there had to be a handful to choose from. Right? After about 5 minutes of research, I was able to find only 4 movies that were officially classified as black neo-noir films. Those 4 movies were Cotton Comes to Harlem, King of New York, Collateral, and Devil in a Blue Dress. Choosing which movie to make a video on was easy because, well, 2 of those movies had white leads, so the choice was painless. I do want to say that even though Deep Cover and Clockers would be considered neo-noir films, they were not classified as one, so I excluded them. Before I can dive into the movie, let's go back to the 1940s. Coined by French film critics in 1946, noir films are a specific style of Hollywood filmmaking. Because critics saw an increase of detective films during the 1940s, film noir, which translates to black cinema, became its official name. Some ways to identify a noir film is by such elements as drastic and dramatic lighting effects, complicated plots, the use of voiceovers and flashbacks, a femme fatale, complicated or unique dialogue.
I like you, Johnny O'Clock, if that's what you want to know.
Put that in writing and I'll paste it in my scrapbook.
I mean it. That's why
What?
I backed away from you.
And almost always the cynical detective. If you've ever watched Seven, Blade Runner, Shutter Island, Nightcrawler, or everyone's favorite franchise, John Wick, you have watched a neo-noir film. Even though there are a lot of elements that are needed to create this type of film, Devil in a Blue Dress has almost all of them. Based on a novel written by Walter Mosley, Devil in a Blue Dress is about a World War II veteran named Easy Rawlins who turns to detective work to pay for his mortgage. He then becomes intertwined in a woman named Daphne Monet's web of lies and secrets. The novel uses AAVE, or what the author calls it, African American English, to showcase and combine African American culture and the detective fiction genre. Using the Watts neighborhood as the backdrop, Mosley wrote 14 novels that follow Easy as he solves different mysteries around the city. The novel intertwines social justice issues and racial inequality while Easy investigates murders, disappearances, and white-collar crimes. When it comes to the production of the movie, TriStar was so confident about the movie's success that they optioned the next 2 books in the Easy Rawlins series. Of course, we now know that the movie was a box office bomb, but I still think it deserves a deeper look to see how aligned it is to other noir films.
I think it's a fine film. I think that it's different. It's not a true hero in a sense. You know, he's a different kind of guy. He's easy. I mean, he's and he's a different guy now. You see, he's developed into who he is now, into the detective. You know, and the other books take him on into these different adventures, but in this book, he's set up. I mean, he was an airplane mechanic who becomes a private detective.
For a standard noir film, some of the characteristics the protagonists have are they usually are a loner, a veteran, driven by a deadly sin, and mostly always a man. They make the protagonist a veteran because noir films became popular during World War II. The tone in the media reflected the sadness and negativity caused by the war. Characters were more cynical, and the movies usually like to showcase the darkness in people. Even though Devil in a Blue Dress briefly mentioned how Easy was a veteran, I would have loved to see how the war had affected him, especially when it comes to how he profiles people and how it affects his everyday life. After Easy loses his job at the aviation factory, the opportunity for him to become a detective falls in his lap. Easy taking that job pushes him out of his element and shows just how desperate he is. He has no experience in the detective world or even the political game. Maybe that's why Easy was such a passive character. It felt like I was watching things happen to him opposed to him doing things himself. Maybe because he had a lack of experience, he made fewer decisions, but I'm not sure. The only time he was proactive was during the second half of the movie when he went around town asking about Frank Green. The second time happened when he visited Carter. Even though he actively did a few things, that's a character trait I think they could have improved on. Because Easy was forced to continue this job, he asked for more money from almost every person he interacted with. But it felt less like greed and more like, well, since I'm forced to do it, I might as well get as much as I can out of it. I personally love a protagonist that has questionable morals. Hell, Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies. So I wish that Easy made a few questionable choices so that we can feel uneasy about his character too. Not including this trait took away an important element that all noir films possess. The protagonists are usually not good people. They do things out of greed, lust, or any of the other 7 deadly sins. But Easy wasn't like that. Yes, he did take the job because of money, but he was also unemployed and months behind on his mortgage. When he realized that the money wasn't worth it, he attempted to quit, but Albright wouldn't let him. The police also forced him to continue his investigation or they would frame him for the murders. Easy's character felt like an almost perfect guy, getting sucked into a mystery where evidence and clues falls into his lap and he walks away with thousands of dollars. He didn't feel fleshed out and realistic, and he definitely didn't fit the standard for a noir protagonist.
Material was one of those films, it was one of those pieces of material, I should say, when I read the book that suddenly started to try to become a movie in my head. You know, I started to see scenes, I started to see characters, I started to see the film taking, you know, going to another incarnation. And when that happens, you almost don't have a choice, you know. So it was something that if I hadn't had the opportunity to do, I would have been very disappointed.
One thing that a good neo-noir film needs is dramatic lighting. Drastic shadows and extreme spotlights are part of the mystery. When the femme fatale is introduced, they're usually given unique lighting to let viewers know how important they are. Even though Devil in a Blue Dress had a few scenes with these cinematic moments, I wish there was more. One scene that stood out to me was when Easy was walking home from the police station. He is isolated and in the dark, literally and figuratively in this scene. When Terrell's car comes down the street, not only do his headlights brighten up the empty street, but it also represents the light, the idea, the answer to the case. For the most part, the cinematography was perfect and interesting, but I would have loved more artistic lighting and camera angles throughout the film. The use of voiceovers is synonymous with noir films. Yes, sometimes the overuse of voiceover can be expositional, but noir usually puts a twist to it. For example, in one of my favorite noir films, Double Indemnity, the protagonist Walter is first introduced riding in the car on the way to his job. He gets to the office and starts recording a confession of a crime he committed. Of course, he starts from the very beginning, and this is how the movie is shown. We see from his perspective everything that happened leading up to him being shot.
Suppose you'll call this a confession when you hear it. Well, I don't like the word confession.
In another Billy Wilder film, Sunset Boulevard, he uses another unique voiceover. The protagonist, who is shown to be dead at the beginning of the film, is narrating everything that leads up to his death.
The poor dope. He always wanted a pool. Well, in the end, he got himself a pool.
Even though these two films are considered top-tier classics, I actually love what Devil in a Blue Dress did. The way Easy tells his story is nothing different. He narrates things in order from the moment they happen. What makes this voiceover unique, though, is the use of what Walter Mosley calls AA English. Easy's character code switches, so when we hear his thoughts, they're what he really wants to say out loud. Most of the voiceovers used highlights racial differences and how black people view the world due to racial discrimination and biases. Using this technique is one of my favorite things about this movie because, as most black people know, we can't always say what's on our mind. A perfect example is when he is driving Daphne to McGee's house.
Are you nervous?
Nervous? Here I was in the middle of the night in a white neighborhood with a white woman in my car.
Well, the first blue dress, it was important that it was very sensual and yet stylish, because she's presenting herself to Easy, and she's presenting definitely an eroticized version of herself because she wants to use whatever she has to get the upper hand and to get what she wants.
One thing that is absolutely required in a noir film is the femme fatale, or the translation, a fatal woman. She's the one who is dangerous, mysterious, charming, and persuasive. Because of her looks and extreme sexuality, she can get a man to do anything she wants. They usually are bound by their gender due to the limited income options and often feel stuck in the domestic room. Majority of the time, noir movies produced during the 1940s and 50s had little to no sympathy for these characters. For example, in Double Indemnity, Phyllis was painted as this cold-hearted woman who was always one step ahead of everyone. When I watched it the first time, and Phyllis explained how her husband was controlling and abusive, I appreciated how progressive this movie was trying to be. They made it seem like Phyllis had limited options of leaving her marriage. That progressive thought dissipated when it was revealed that she was lying and just wanted to live husband-free. Later in the movie, it was explained that she killed her husband's wife so she could take her spot. It was clear that the writer only wanted to make her a villain with no depth. After revealing that shocking twist, she then wasn't able to shoot Walter because now all of a sudden she's in love with him. Her character became a contradiction and puts her back in a traditional role where she puts emotions over logic. Dismissing the constraints she could have felt, or even the way he spoke to her, made it seem like the director wanted us to sympathize with the protagonist, husband, and his daughter without giving Phyllis the same grace. Luckily, Daphne Monet was given that grace. Even though it took until the 40-minute mark to see her, Daphne was a femme fatale with depth. From the beginning of the movie, she was known to be this white woman who everyone was looking for. She was known for her beauty and mysteriousness. Every man in the movie would do anything for her, no questions asked. They lied for her, betrayed their friends, and even killed for her. Not even her close friend Coretta knew much about her life or where she lived. After hearing everyone talk about her for so long, when the camera finally pans over to Daphne, it feels like she's a fragment of his imagination. Easy's face says it all. The way he stays on one side of the room for majority of the scene insinuates that he is initially mesmerized by her too. When she asks Easy to take her to McGee's house, at first it seemed like she's using him, but it turns out that she genuinely needed a ride. The movie uses the viewer's preconceived ideas of a femme fatale and changes the narrative completely. The whole movie you don't trust her, but at the end you feel sympathetic to her situation. Daphne was black, passing as a white woman. She made the decision to pass to make a better life for herself. Born in Louisiana, she moved to LA and fell in love with Carter, who was running for mayor against Terrell. Because Terrell is blackmailing Carter with the proof of Daphne's heritage, she starts to investigate Terrell. She finds inappropriate and disgusting pictures of Terrell with little children. Daphne believes that if she gets those pictures to Carter, they can still be together and Carter can join the mayor's race again. Of course, it's no surprise that even with Terrell's photos, Carter can't be with her because she is black. I do want to note that the book had a different plot than this. In the book, when Carter finds out she is black, he still wants to be with her, but she is too ashamed to be with him because now he knows that she is black. Even though I think the book version makes a more interesting character out of her, I feel like the movie version is more realistic. In the movie, to see her heartbreak at the end was hard to watch. Her decision to pass as white had to be a difficult one. I also want to add that just because I am sympathetic to her situation doesn't mean she was innocent. Because she sent Joppy over to Coretta's house to scare her into not stealing Terrell's pictures, she got her friend killed. The other female character in the movie that I enjoyed was Coretta. In a noir film, they almost always place another woman to show how they think a woman should be. Usually the character is naive, sweet, and innocent. She is supposed to be the model woman. When Coretta meets Easy for the first time, that same night she sleeps with him while her man is asleep in the next room. It's very clear that she isn't innocent. In one specific scene, when Easy and Mouse go to talk to Bouchard, he claims that Coretta didn't do anything to anybody. He talks about how she was a God-fearing woman who was so innocent. Of course, her boyfriend doesn't know about her sexcapades, but we as viewers do. I like how they flip the innocent woman trope that is always in these films. The creator showed that no one is 100% innocent. The same can be said for Daphne. No one is 100% evil or vindictive. Devil in a Blue Dress gave female characters more depth than most of the noir films from the past and the present. So I can say with confidence that this movie is just too damn underrated. And I don't understand how it flopped at the box office. I think this movie is so well done because it combines mystery while also implementing racial issues in the story. When the store owner paid off the cops but they are still harassing her customers, or when Easy made it clear how dangerous it was for him to be driving in a car with a white woman, or showing the migration of black people moving from the South to LA, and lastly bringing up how they all fought in the war together but when they come back home, there is still a divide. I really hate that this movie wasn't successful, but I truly believe that if it had done great numbers, there could have been at least 3 sequels. After doing a little research, I saw that they are planning on adapting the series of books into a show, which is exciting. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate this so much. Love you all. Bye.
Dr. Pepper.
Right.
You know, because I'm based in Dallas.
Right, that's right. Then you know.
For all the NBC stations,
Right.
but I'm based in Dallas. Yeah. I've spoken with them. And what is our total time? Denzel, we've just discovered we have something in common. We're both Cookie Monster freaks.
Cookie Monster. Yeah, I love cookies. What's your favorite?
I like oatmeal and raisin very
Oatmeal
much.
and raisin.
Yeah, but I like all cookies. Except,
I love Girl Scout cookies.
Hey, you must have a little girl who sells Girl Scout cookies.
I like them anyway.
And they have such a variety now.
Yeah.
We're wasting our time talking about cookies.
Enough about cookies.
Enough about cookies.